Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. This, of course, is another one of our broadcasts that Celestis does for the Heritage Flight, but this is an extra special broadcast in terms of it is our final broadcast for the Heritage Flight, for at least briefing the families on the Heritage Flight. Before we get rolling with this, we want to make sure that you understand that you are allowed to ask questions during this broadcast. As we always say, if we do not get to your questions online, please, we will get to your questions as soon as we possibly can. By the way, my name is Mark Lee. I am your ambassador for Celestis, and we have done this a number of times, not just the broadcast, but the launches, as this will be, of course, our 16th launch. I like to bring to you, well, let me just honestly say to you guys off script here, even though I'm not on a script, I'm incredibly excited about this. The fact that this is going to be a lot larger than our last launch, which means it's approximately 3 times larger than our last launch. This means it's going to be 3 times as fantastic. We got so many things planned for you guys. It's going to be an event. It's going to be wonderful, but we do understand this is for your loved ones, and we are in celebration of your loved ones, as we will prove that once we are at the Cape. Hold on, Martha said I can't get the video. Martha, if you're on Facebook, make sure you go to the Celestis Facebook page. Oh, now she got it. Good job, Martha. Okay, so without any further ado, I'd like to introduce to you the wonderful individual that's responsible for all of this, guys. This is our CEO, our grand poobah, the guy that's providing these wonderful services along with his staff for you guys, literally 7 days from today. So without further ado, I'd like to present to you Mr. Charles Schaefer. Charles, how you doing?
I'm holding up.
I'm sure you're pulling your hair out. I'm sure you're getting a lot of calls. I'm sure there's a lot of questions that people are calling you while you're still trying to concentrate with putting together the entire kit and caboodle of this fantastic launch that we're about to experience in 7 days.
Well, the excitement is definitely building, and the term launch fever rings true around here. So we have a good group, as you mentioned, Mark. This will be our 16th time. So what I like to tell people is, well, no, I won't even say that. I'm in a don't jinx anything mode. So,
yes.
We're prepared. We think we're ready to go. I'll do a little bit of just introduction here. The events begin for us on the 22nd, which will be a Saturday.
Yes, Saturday. I know we get confused
right
on dates.
And really, the only thing we're doing on the 22nd is beginning our registration in the afternoon. First, I should say, for the complete agenda, up to date, we update everything. You can go to events.celestis.com, and Celestis is CELESTIS.com, and just click on the agenda tab right there when you get there, and you'll see all of the events laid out. But check-in begins on the 22nd in the late afternoon, and I believe it goes up till 8 p.m. We're showing about 450 guests who will be joining us for one, some, or all of the events. And as a reminder, everyone has to check in by themselves. Well, you can come with others, but we need everyone to pick up their own credentials. Those credentials need to be worn at all times during the event to allow you to access everything that we're doing. And we welcome you starting, I believe it's 5 o'clock at the Radisson at the Port in Cape Canaveral, just around the bend when you make the turn to go into Cape Canaveral. We're right there. And that is the headquarters hotel for all of our events. As I say, check-in is mandatory, and the first check-in starts the Saturday afternoon. We'll all be there. Looking forward to meeting just a lot of folks. And then the action begins sort of hot and heavy Sunday morning, which is June 23rd. For those of you that have arrived past our 8 o'clock check-in close, as I get older, we go to bed earlier, and so we don't stay up till midnight like we used to in the early days.
9 o'clock for me.
But the other element is that we get up earlier, so we'll start a new check-in the next morning at 6:45 a.m. All of which are done in the convention center at the Radisson. And the reason that we do that early morning check-in is that you need to have your credentials if you're going on the tour, the guided private tour of Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center. And the buses for that will leave promptly at 8 a.m., which means that if you're not on, you ain't going. In order to get your credentials, if you get in late, we've opened up for an hour, 6:45 a.m. to 7:45. You can pick up credentials in. As I hinted, a large number of you have chosen to be on our guided tour. The buses will meet you there at the parking lot at the Radisson. You'll load, drive in air-conditioned comfort, and I'm told, yes, the buses do have restrooms on board, which a few people have asked about. And you'll have the first part of your tour will be guided. You'll get to the vehicle assembly building, from which you're very likely to be able to see Falcon Heavy on Launch Pad 39A. You'll be taken to the Saturn V Apollo Center, which is also with a good view of 39A. And then you will be brought back to the visitor center itself, and you have I believe it's about 3 hours to roam around there. A lot of people have said, geez, that's a long tour. And my reaction is going to Disneyland takes a while too. And KSC Visitor Center is, I think, far cooler than Disneyland. And you can actually see the Atlantis Space Shuttle fully enclosed in an amazing building. And there's just a variety of things to do, but there's plenty of places to sit and have a Coke or a hamburger or something like that. And then get on the buses. I believe they reboard at KSC at 3 o'clock and come back, and you're back home by 3:30, home being the Radisson. At 5 o'clock p.m., we'll start our reception, dinner, and pre-launch briefing. Our special guest host for that event is two-time Space Shuttle astronaut Winston Scott with his jazz trio. Kind of cool. For that, for those of you who have signed up for that, which is part of the full experience package, we'll open with a reception where Winston's agreed to take at least as many selfies as when he looks over and says, "I've had enough, stop." But he'll be happy to meet you. And then we have a nice dinner buffet being served there. And then there'll be presentations by General Atomics Corporation, who built the satellite that we're on. Winston will talk to you about what it's like to be in orbit, and you can at least vicariously experience both what you may long to be doing and certainly where you are sending your loved one. And then I'll finish off with some information and what we call pre-launch briefing, a little bit more information for you there. Then we're done for the evening. That should be probably around 7:30 or 8, although, again, Winston's trio is going to play a little bit after dinner as well. I don't think there'll be a huge push to put people out, and stay as long as we're open. Let's put it that way. That's L-1. L0, then Monday morning, you're on your own. That is a time where some people may want to, if you haven't signed up for the tour, you may want to go just drive up to Kennedy Space Center and take the tour yourself. You can see everything that our folks are going to see if you want to go on the KSC tour. One word of caution is that's launch day. And of course, so it may be that you choose to do your tour, your individual tour on Sunday morning, which is L-1. But on L0, launch day, as they say, we have our memorial service also at the Radisson Conference Center, and that begins at 4 o'clock. And that's always a very touching, compelling couple hours where besides some musical interludes with live music that we've selected for you, the main thing is the opportunity to tell everyone the story of why you're there or why your loved one is on board, or really talk about this special event. And it's kind of cool. Again, we'll have I don't know how many people will be there, but it could be as many as 450 folks. I know they're coming in from all over the US, from Japan, from the UK, which I guess that doesn't include Ireland anymore, from Ireland, well, part of Ireland, and from Germany. And so it's a global audience that's there to share each other's stories, each other's emotions, and just in general get prepared for the reason that you're all coming. 4 to 6, then everybody will have an opportunity to go get some dinner. And then around 9 o'clock, for those of you that have signed up to ride the buses to the launch viewing site, Jetty Park, you'll meet back in, by then, familiar parking lot of the Radisson at the port. Others of you have chosen to drive to Jetty Park, your automobiles, and I would encourage you to go there. The line forms for cars at 9:30. Our buses, we've been told, have their own lane, so we may not have to sit in line. But the thing you don't want to do is be late. It's very difficult to gauge how much traffic and how large the attendance will be. A Falcon Heavy night launch, this will be the first one of them. Having seen roughly the same size vehicles, Titan 4Bs, or even shuttles take off at night, it's absolutely amazing. So that part of it means probably more people will come. The fact that the launch window opens at 11:30 p.m. and goes to 3:30 a.m. and that it's during the week, may diminish the crowd. So I don't really know how many folks will be there. I know that over 100,000 visitors came to previous Falcon Heavy launches. So I'd say the byword is leave early and have a friendly attitude towards getting there. We've reserved the pavilion at Jetty Park for Celestis, and we will be setting up folding chairs near there, as well as a screen so that we can view the pre-webcast with the SpaceX starts about 15 minutes before the launch. I was told today that NASA's planning on starting about 2 hours before the launch, and I'm kind of curious as to what they'll be doing for 2 hours, but if that's the case, we'll have it on. And that way you won't miss anything from on the pad, but then you'll be able to witness the launch whenever it occurs during that window. And more, I think, equally cool, you'll be able to see most of the landings. There are 3 stages that are scheduled to land. One of them about 12 miles offshore on a barge. The other 2 will come right back to kind of in front of you. And one of the reasons we chose Jetty Park as the viewing site is because it's really the best place, even better than on base at Kennedy Space Center, to see the landings occur. And rocket landings are a relatively new thing in this world. Kind of the last couple years is the first time they've been doing it. And so that will be a pretty much should be an amazing view. So that's the agenda. We're working on a scrub policy. Let me talk a little bit about that's, again, space talk for you get there and it doesn't fly for a lot of reasons. Weather, boats downrange and in the flight path zone, or occasionally technical issues either with the launch vehicle or some of the satellites on board. There are 24 satellites on this rocket. We're on the OTB-1 built by General Atomics, so we are one part of one satellite among 24. This will be a very complex mission. It actually has, I believe, 4 separate engine burns to 3 different orbits for deploying satellites. So it's really, really a challenging mission. My understanding is that if for any reason the mission doesn't go that evening or the morning, there is an opportunity, depending upon a lot of things, and so I'm almost reluctant to say this, but there is an opportunity to fly the next day. And we will obviously have our ear to the ground. If that occurs, we'll tell you how to get your bus and your car back over there the next day. We will certainly attend. If it doesn't go the 25th, it won't go until after the 27th. And my guess, and this is just a guess, is kind of a few days after the 27th. What's magic about the 27th is that there's an Atlas rocket scheduled to go on the 27th. And so if we don't make the 24th, we don't make the 25th, then we'll recycle to do it again. The other pressing schedule crunch is no earlier than tomorrow. There will be what's called a hot fire on the pad test, where all 27 Merlin engines on the first stage of the Falcon Heavy will be ignited for a second or 2, just to do what's called a hot burn test. And if that goes well, then I think that clears the final hurdle. We'll obviously be monitoring it. Our plan is if we get a scrub after the hot fire test, depending on, if we get a scrub on the 24th, or we know even before the 24th that it's moving to the 25th, we're still going to conduct all the other events around the mission on the 22nd and 23rd. We're not going to change that. And so we'll just play that all by ear because, you know, I'm betting that everything goes smoothly and we see a launch on the 24th. SpaceX has been getting pretty remarkable at hitting not only their launch dates, but the front end of their launch windows. So this is an important mission for them. It's an important mission for the Air Force. It's also a very important mission for us. And so we want to be there and be ready to see it. I think I'll stop now. If there are questions that have lined up, we'll bat them back.
Oh boy, are there are questions. A lot of these are repeat questions, things we've already mentioned, but sometimes people pop in at the last minute. or was concentrating more on your voice and you know, and what's going on.
Sure.
Just to recap a bit, guys, the important thing here is to make sure that you're on time for everything. We do understand that you are coming to my fabulous town of Orlando, and there's a lot to do and almost impossible to get bored. You're here for, I think, a more important reason, and we want to just make sure that you do not miss anything. The other thing is that you will be able to view this broadcast again. So you have all week to kind of pick up on something you may have missed. You can watch this again. You can forward the link to your family members who aren't able to watch this tonight, and you'll be able to pick up on things.
That reminds me, if I can
yes, please.
One other thing I wanted to say, there are probably some folks watching this that aren't joining us at the launch. For you, there will be a live webcast of the memorial service, which is, as I said, 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on L0 or June 24th. There will also be probably 1,000 places that will be webcasting the launch, but we know certainly that SpaceX and NASA.gov, who has a number of experiments and satellites on the mission, are both planning to live cast the launch.
Okay, yeah, so family members that are not attending, you'll be able to watch. I'm sure it's pretty late or early in the morning over in Europe right now, so even if there's anybody up at in the UK or in Germany, Ireland, or Japan, they'll be able to view all of this information. What I wanted to say to a lot of other people is that the Celestis staff, we're in our critical stages right now. And we do understand that you do have questions, may have a lot of questions, may have even one simple question. But if it's something that you can pick up just by viewing this broadcast again, if it's something that you can just send on our Celestis Facebook page or on our Heritage page, those questions, we'll try to get to them as soon as possible, but just make sure you have all your ducks in a row and that the questions are the last thing you need to worry about right now before being packed and getting on your plane or getting in your car and ready to get over here. We've done a number of these broadcasts and we try to cover every question possible. And without any further ado, let's see. Wow. Let's see. Sharon says, I will be watching the live feed from the UK and will be wishing all the participants on board. Kathy always asks, is there a live stream for those who don't attend? Okay, we've answered that one. Gretchen says here, hold on, and we've answered this too. Will there be chairs for everyone, or do you suggest that we bring your own? No, don't bring your own. We got you covered. Okay, so we do have the chairs.
And if I can interrupt, that might
please.
Be different than what we were telling folks early on. We did recommend that you bring your umbrella chairs early on. We're going to have a lot of chairs there, but so we're not thinking that anybody needs them. We do have an area for special needs folks and wheelchairs also, which we will direct you to at the site there.
Okay. Also bear in mind that, much like rock concerts, there will be people standing. I'm sure that they want to get as close as they possibly can or think they can. So just bear in mind that you're not, bolted down to your seat once this go off.
Right. That's a good point. I wanted to also mention that while we have reserved the pavilion and we will have an area for our chairs, we didn't reserve the whole park. There are people that camp there, and there are people that will come there to view the launch. So that's part of the reason why we're urging people who are driving their cars in particular to get there early. And you're looking to get to the pavilion. It's got a store called Fish Lips. And by the way, Fish Lips is a famous restaurant in Cocoa Beach. They have a stand. Well, it's beyond a stand, but they have a facility there right in the pavilion, and they will be offering liquid refreshment of both the adult and non-adult variety, cash or credit card, as well as selling small snacks and stuff. If you feel like you need to bring a turkey or something because you're not going to be there for 4 hours and you got to eat, you can do that. You can bring as much food as you'd like to bring.
Please bring stuffing.
Exactly.
Okay, I think you answered this, Charles, but I'm going to put it up again. Is the memorial service available for live streaming? Is it possible to send in something to read since I am unable to attend in person? From Ruth Seigen Martin, or
yes.
probably Seigen Martin.
Yeah, the answer to both is yes. Just send it to launchteam@celestis.com and tell us what you want, and we'll have a stack, I'm sure, of people that or stuff to read at the memorial service. In fact, Mark will be probably the person that'll be reading it.
I figured that, and I will honor your writings very, very well, Ruth. This I like always to put up when I see things like this. I am so excited that launch is almost upon us. Can't wait to fulfill one of my departed sister Diane's dreams. She is a participant on the flight. I know it will be a fantastic but emotional time for all conserved. I will be watching, and I'll be watching the live feed probably. Let me add to that. These things are, I mean, we're there for a reason, to honor our loved ones. We know this is one of their wishes in life that they wanted to do. But this is an incredible celebration of life. I've been to a number of these launches, and to watch everyone become new friends. Our last launches, we have people who are now Facebook friends with each other and communicate with each other. We hear wonderful stories of the individual themselves when they were amongst the living, and the stories that people come up to the podium. And I implore that if there's anyone who want to come up to the podium and share their story of their loved ones, please do. We invite you. We want to hear about your family or loved ones or your friend, brother, sister. We want to hear all that you possibly can tell us about the individual that's on this flight. Remember, we are one of 24 satellites that will be launched. We are a passenger on this flight. We don't control NASA. We don't control the rocket flight. We don't control the liftoffs. Okay, that's all in the hands of someone else. But the fact of us being all together is a celebration in itself. Let's see. Darian Nandor says we will be there. Can't wait. Okay. Kathy says, can you do part of the bus tour? I think you did mention something to that effect, Charles. Can you recoup on that?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you say that?
Can you do part of the bus tour? I don't think you can.
No.
Yeah. I don't think you can.
Count you when you get on and count you when you get off.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's talking about the private tour.
Right.
You
can't go there yourself and spend as much or as little time at Kennedy Space Center as you wish, but the tour is pretty much self-contained. But
yes,
the end of there's this. I suppose, and I may get into trouble by offering this. I suppose when you're brought back from the Apollo Saturn V part of the tour, and they just literally let you out at the main visitor center campus, if you need to leave, you may be able to call an Uber and for an outrageous amount of money, Uber back to Cocoa Beach, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Right. I agree. Let's try to stick to how they have laid out their own
and you need
program.
To tell us if you're going to do that, by the way, because we don't like to leave people behind, but we won't have any choice at a certain point but to leave you if you haven't arrived and haven't checked in. Each of the buses on the tour will have a bus captain that's checking you on and checking you off. And if you've made a decision in advance that, it's kind of like these people that get on an airplane that's headed to Washington, D.C., but it's got to stop in Tulsa. They really wanted to get to Tulsa, not to DC, because they got a better price, and they get off in Tulsa and never get back on. That creates havoc. And
yes,
we want minimum havoc.
Yeah, so we sincerely encourage you to follow the program that we've established and try not to do things outside of that, because things will happen. Murphy's Law will kick in, and then we'll probably have some very uncomfortable and unhappy campers, shall I say. So let's just make sure we stick to the schedule. Letty says something here, and she says, will the viewing location have air conditioning?
It is outdoors, so it will be air conditioned by the outdoor.
Luckily, you're at the beach, so you'll get a little bit of more so wind than you would if you were somewhere in the midst of Orlando. Make sure we have water. I think we have water, Charles, right?
Yeah, and if there's an emergency, we'll find a cool spot for somebody. But in general, we did not air condition Jetty Park for this mission. Okay,
and Joe here says, for those who want to watch the memorial service online, where can we tell those folks to watch? Celestis.com, or are you going to send a link?
We'll post a link at Celestis.com, Facebook, and events.celestis.com. We just literally made the decision to go live with the webcast today. Previously, we were just going to post it on YouTube. Pretty sure it's going to be on YouTube, but we'll communicate that information. It's a good question. We'll take a note to make sure we communicate that.
Yeah, I just want to go ahead and post this up here right now. Joel Anthony says, hello. I pray that everyone enjoys the launch. The experience changed my life. It's really cool to hear, Joel. Thank you so much. Obviously, he had someone on one of our past flights.
She.
Oh, it said Joel in the front.
Joel.
Oh, okay. You know her. Okay, yeah. Cool beans. Let's see.
Star Seeker also.
Oh, I'm terrible with faces, so yeah. I'm pretty sure that I have missed her.
You're forgiven.
Yeah. Sorry. Let's see. A lot of people saying hello. Mariana said hello. Oh, here we go. Martha says, will the biographies that we sent in with the ashes be used at all? Good question.
Well, they're online.
Okay.
And if yours isn't online, that means you sent it recently, and Richard, who is up to his eyeballs and alligators doing them, will get them posted. So the bio will, if you go to Celestis.com and you select the participants, then select Heritage Flight, you should see the bio of your loved one either now or in the near future.
Okay. Oren has a concern here, and I want to partly answer this one here. It says, look like there's forecast for rain on the 25th a.m. Could the launch be scheduled? Could be scrubbed for rain. Oren, I live in Florida. I live in Central Florida. I'm about 45 minutes from the Cape. We don't listen to our weathermen. Okay, we never listen to our weathermen because rarely are they correct. So ignore that forecast. Closer to the launch, it may be something a little bit more concrete. But in the meantime, please don't even check the forecast this far out. Okay.
But the answer is that weather could affect the launch.
Yes. Yes. The question was, could weather affect the launch? And I'm assuming that's a yes, Charles?
Yes, indeed. It could.
Yeah. Okay. Mel says, maybe you covered this. Are there reserved parking spots at Jetty Park for the Celestis participants that didn't register for the bus? If not, can you offer advice at what time to arrive for parking?
Well, hopefully you got one of the many emails we sent out saying register for a parking placard. And if you did not do that, we closed that off at midnight last night. But if you'll send in an urgent request, we might be able to get you a parking placard, which will, all that does is it means that you get waved in versus having to stand in line and buy the placard in line. So you can always, if you did not get a parking placard from us, and we can't provide you one, and I think we might be able to do that, depending upon, now you have to be a registered viewer, meaning you have to have pre-registered with us, either get the full experience package or the launch viewing only package, and parking comes with that. So if you did that, just ask us for it, and I think we can do it. if you're just planning on going there yourself and you don't want to go to any of our other events, and you just want to go to Jetty Park, there will be a line that forms at 9:30 p.m. for cars to line up, purchase an entrance to Jetty Park, which I believe is $15, and then you can park. So you do have two options.
Yep. Okay, Mel, I get on the stick and send in that request as quickly as possible, even after our deadline had already passed. And let's see what we can do there. I don't see, if you guys have any more questions, please go ahead and put them in. Like I said before, you can ask questions on our Celestis site, preferably our Heritage launch site, which was set up for a lot of you participants. Bear in mind that the Celestis staff is now in crunch time, and you may not get an immediate answer. So hopefully your question can get answered if you have them. We've had a number of these broadcasts already concerning this flight. We are rehashing a lot of things that we've repeated in a number of those broadcasts. Some of these are new, but 90% of them are things we've already discussed.
I did want to mention, if
please,
I may,
absolutely.
For those of you who are attending, there will be, I believe, only two camera crews following us around. One of them is our own, because as you no doubt know, we produce what we call a family video that is then posted on YouTube, and people can download it and have a permanent remembrance of the event. The other is Smithsonian TV is producing a segment on our launch, and there will be opportunities and questions as to whether you want to be or there may be, as to whether you want to be interviewed. You're under no obligation at all to be interviewed. We always ask before we interview, but as you'll see on the little back of your badge, which is a pretty cool badge, by the way, a little statement, tried to craft it without too much lawyer language, but it basically says, by accepting this badge, I accept the fact that I may be randomly caught on camera somehow, and I'm okay with that. If for any reason you're living a double life, you do not wish to be, then you need to rethink your attendance.
Witness protection, baby.
But I felt obligated to let everybody know that.
Yeah, Carol, who's one of our volunteer coordinators here, had put up something informative. If you guys don't see it on screen, I'm going to read it real quick and get it off. And it says, green placards will be issued for Celestis guests. They can line up in the right lane. There will be.
Let me stop you there. The right lane is the lane that the buses are going into, which means presumably expedited entrance.
Got it. Carol, I'm taking you down. It says there will be parking area rope. Correct me if she's wrong, Charles.
She got everything right.
Really? There will be a parking area roped off at open pavilion area for Celestis. You will be directed to parking area by camp officials. Placards can be reserved through Friday. Is that correct, Charles?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got relief from the earlier. It must. We cut it off mostly so we could get a count. But if you're too late, you didn't listen to any of our emails or didn't pay attention, we will be allowing parking through Friday morning, at which time that's definitely the stopping point.
Cool beans. Everybody, since we're going to, have a great time meeting each other, meeting our celebrity guests, music at the dinner, and some tearful moments at the memorial and whatever, just make sure that you take a nap before the launch, okay? We say, you know what time you have to be at the bus. It's 9 o'clock. We're not coming to your room to wake you up. We don't have time to find you. So please set your alarm on your your watches, which you can set those now on your phones. Okay, set your alarms, and please do be at the bus. We don't want to find you running for it. So please be on the bus. Here's a good question right here, Charles. Whoops, where'd you go? Just moved. Okay. Gloria says, we cannot attend. Come on, Gloria, you can come. Are patches available to purchase online?
They will be, yes. Right after the launch, they will be.
And if you haven't seen our pretty cool patches, folks, you need to take a gander at this right now. Whoops, let me get this off the screen here. That is our Celestis 16, which indicates our 16th launch. This is the Heritage Flight. It was really, it's beautiful. It really is beautiful.
It was designed by a young man named Eric Genak, who's done really all of our patches for the last decade or so. And Eric designed, he's a great artist, but he also has designed patches for the space shuttle and other missions. So we're proud of it, and as they will be available online.
And it's beautiful, and there are 16 stars in that field there, so that's really beautiful. So Gloria, yes, you can go ahead and purchase these. Julia has an interesting question. I remember getting one of these for one of our New Mexico launches. It says, are flight lapel pins available?
Yes.
Hey,
they will be there, assuming we're told they're in transit.
Oh no.
We expect to have them at check-in.
You should have purchased them through Amazon.
Online, yeah. Yes. So that's, I think, so what can you get? You can get one of those snazzy Celestis hats like Mark is wearing, mission patches. We will actually be giving out in the package a general atomics patch for people that registered for full experience. We'll also have various ways to display, pardon me, word hiccup there, to display your flight certificate. So at the end of every mission, you get a certificate with a photo and language, which I attest to, that says when the launch occurred, where did it go, all of those kinds of things. So it's a certificate of completion for the mission. And that is, you can download that and, paste it on your wall, or we offer it in various sorts of framed ways, which includes pretty cool shadow box that includes a replica of the flight capsule engraved just as it was for your loved one on board, if you want that as a keepsake. And then we'll have some packages that include both the mission patch and the lapel pin.
So this answers this question here, which is, if we are attending, will we receive a patch or be able to purchase one?
So you'll get one of two patches, and you'll be able to purchase one of the other ones.
Okay.
And we have the Heritage Flight. The other ones that you don't see is the General Atomics OTB patch, which is also pretty cool. So
okay,
we're handing those out, again, if you've done the full flight experience package. That's included in what you get. For others, they'll be for sale in the convention center there at the Radisson.
Okay, and Keith is doing a great job in the background, answering a lot of things dramatically, I guess I can say, for those folks.
Christina, I think.
I'm sorry?
That's Christina, I think, our social media.
Oh, Christina. Oh, okay. Well, hi, Christina. Hopefully that's Christina. That's great. Okay, so Letty says thank you on that answer to that question there. Said parking placards need to be reserved ahead of time this week, and I think that is in response to Martha's. And like I said before, folks, make sure you're up on all of our information that we've been giving out for months. Go to the events page on our Celestis.com page to refresh yourself. Hopefully that will answer some of the questions before you really feel you really need to send us a message. We're kind of busy right now, but we will accommodate you as best and as quickly as we possibly can. Here's a great question. Debbie, just so you know, I love my meat. I'm sorry, but she asked, will the lunch have vegetarian meals?
Well, there's no lunch. It's a dinner.
Oh, right. It's a dinner.
For it. So for lunch, the answer is if you buy one, there will be. So what we did is we selected enough from the buffet menu that the Radisson provided us so that you can be full with vegetables and pastas if you want them.
Excellent.
But it is a buffet, and so there will actually be chicken and beef on the buffet too, but you can just walk past that station.
I'll be the one guarding it, holding my arms out. Mine. Hi, Christina. Yes, that is Christina, who is doing a great job here. But here's a fantastic question. You ready for this one, Charles?
I hope.
Here we go.
Yeah. The answer is, so the question is, John Krause taking photos? You bet. He will be there. He will be offering his photos to you after the launch. And for those of you that met John on our Facebook Live event a couple events ago, you know how cool those pictures will be.
This guy is a 19-year-old former student, because I think he graduated, who, like Charles has said, you have got to see some of the shots that he has taken for not just some of the space programs involved, but for himself, but just the availability that he was given to take, because some of these shots are impossible to take. Okay, literally, humanly impossible to take, but he has them, and I'll let him tell you the secret of how he did it. But he's fantastic.
And you can see those if you go to his website. Just Google John Krause photos, and it'll take you to his website. I think it's John Krause.
John Krause Photos. Yes, it is.
.com.
Website.
And you can see his work, which includes photos of both previous Falcon Heavy launches. So we're psyched to see what he gets of this launch.
Just to give you an idea of what a Falcon Heavy launch looks like, I think the majority, if not all of those shots, are daytime, and we are seeing a launch at the most spectacular time ever. I've seen many night launches, and this will really blow you away. But Shelby has an incredible question, Charles, and she says, what is the significance of the location of the star on the continental U.S. on the patch design?
I can't. Well, I believe it's Houston.
Isn't it Houston?
Yeah. So it's headquarters of Celestis, world headquarters, galactic headquarters. Like Starfleet.
Okay, stop it. Yes, that is our galactic.
I got it. If you're from Texas, everybody knows that it's the only place that matters, and so we put a big star there.
Personally, I've never heard of Houston. So the next question here is, good deal. He does great work, talking about John Krause. And then the next one says, where do we get your awesome Celestis hat? Off my head.
You can you can buy them at the launch. After the launch, I'm sure we'll have a few left, and you'll be able to order them from our website.
Okay. All right, so make sure you do that. We prefer you get them in person, because it would be great if you guys were wearing Celestis hat while you out on the site, but you don't have to. This is for you, not for us. All right, let's see. Oh, good grief. Sharon says, can I please just thank you all at Celestis for providing this fantastic service for our loved ones and all the information and endless answers to all our questions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you. Sharon, God bless you. And if you are attending, please come up to me and shake my hand. I would love to meet you. It goes for each and every one of you that are attending. Please come up and, I'm a lonely man. Please come up and say something to me. Say hi, whatever. Mark, you're horrible. I don't care. Just say something. Martha, I think we already answered how we reserve the placards. I think you email us. Can you sum that up again?
Well, in the past, and this bespeaks some of the communication challenges, is that you all have to make sure you open our emails. We have provided via the emails a link to a survey where you tell us how many cars you're bringing, your whole group or you individually, and we reserve your placard. That world ended at midnight Sunday night. Now you can send an email to launchteam@celestis.com, and also, well, that's really the way to do it, and do that sooner rather than later. And again, those are available to people that are registered to attend our events. It's not a general public placard.
Right. So don't order them for friends who think they can drive to Jetty Park with one of the placards, but they're not a part of Celestis. It's very, very important that they are registered with us. This is a private event for you and the families, and it should remain private. So let's try to do that. You said we can purchase some of John's photos after the launch. I'm flying out on the 26th. Will I be able to purchase photos? Charles, John is going to be in attendance, correct?
Well, no, he's going to be at the launch pad.
Okay. Oh, yeah, he'll be on the launch pad, but he's not coming to any of our earlier events.
No.
Gotcha.
But the way to buy, I don't think he'll have any for sale that quick.
Yeah,
anyway,
same here.
Go to his website. He'll post them on the website, and he will be delighted to provide you with as many as you want to order.
Right. Absolutely. He is a fantastic young man. I'm really happy that we had the pleasure of having him with us and interviewing us. Remember, guys, here it is visually. Email us at launchteam@celestis.com if you still need parking placards. So do that right away. We really don't want anybody caught unaware of everything that's happening during our event. Remember, this is a 3-day event, with the last day being the most important day. It's important that you make it to the buses. Also, and I'm sure Charles probably mentioned this, but I'll repeat again, the bus you get on to head for the launch site is the same bus you leave out on. Yeah. We have to take head counts, and it has to be, do not switch buses. If you're on bus number 1, stay on bus number 1. Don't end up on bus number 2, number 3. Otherwise, we can't leave because we'll be looking for you. So make sure you are on the same bus that you got off on.
And our bus operator told us that they will be leaving to come back to the Radisson at 30 minutes after liftoff.
Okay. Which means don't lollygag.
Right.
Don't
go back to the Radisson and go online, and you can watch orbital insertion and that kind of thing. We are the second tier of satellites released. So it'll probably be, and I believe the entire event is 4 hours after launch. So I'm just guessing, but we'll be at least probably in the second hour of on orbit time before we're released.
Right. And if you guys have time, Google this launch date. Okay, Google the space. I found a number of articles that actually describe a few of the satellites that are on board this launch with your family members. Okay,
right. So that's a really good point. The mission is called STP-2. It's an Air Force mission. STP stands for Space Test Program. So the Air Force is interested in several things. From the booster point of view, they want to test this whole notion of reusability and whether the Air Force wants to trust that for future missions. But there's also, as I said, 24 satellites on this, some of which are Air Force satellites. Let me describe a couple of the other cool payloads. Light Sail, I think it's called Light Sail 2 by the Planetary Society, which is a solar sail, which is a way of what's called in-orbit transportation. You can't.
Isn't it Bill Nye's mission, Charles?
Yes,
Bill Nye, the science guy,
is run by or headed by Bill Nye, and this will be their second orbital mission for a solar sail. It's a very cool concept. Very high risk. It's hard to get them to deploy It's hard to get them to maneuver. This is cutting edge technology. So that's one of the missions, Light Sail. I believe it's Light Sail 2.
Yep.
Sponsored by the Planetary Society. Many of you may be members of the Planetary Society. There's also there's a Taiwanese fleet of, I believe, 6 satellites called Cosmic, which are used for, here's a big word, radio occultation, which uses GPS and precise navigation to understand weather phenomenon, including space weather phenomenon. So, in fact, I believe the Taiwanese delegation for the launch is also staying at the Radisson. On our mission by General Atomics, OTB, one of the very cool applications besides us is called the Deep Space Atomic Clock. And it is an atomic clock. Well, what's an atomic clock? Well, I'm not going to, being a non-technical person, I'm sure I'll get this wrong, but reading the articles about it, you should. You can Google that. But basically, instead of using a humming quartz, which is what all watches do these days, it uses the gas that's put out by the degradation of atoms, and somehow that makes it a more precise clock, so that the implication is that you can move towards more autonomous deep space flight, which is important because when you get far away from Earth, the signal takes hours, days, years to get from the spacecraft to the Earth, or vice versa. And so if you're trying to maneuver something based on commands for Earth, you cannot be real precise because you have to build into the calculations this warping of time that happens while you're waiting for the signals to go back and forth. The Deep Space Atomic Clock is the first time that it's tested, and the goal there would be to allow for far more autonomous navigation, sort of like self-driving cars, only these will be self-driving spacecraft out by Jupiter and beyond. That's one of the payloads that's on the same satellite that we are on. So there's a variety, and Mark's correct. If you just Google AF STP-2 mission, there's a bunch of articles that list the various payloads that are on board this mission.
Very, very important payloads. This is a very, very important mission, not just for SpaceX, of course, for us, but for the world in general. It's a very, very important flight. That's another reason why I'm so excited about it. Darian Doris, I think that's one person. It says, Mr. Lee, can we have our picture made with you? That is no. I'm expensive. And we'll talk about you out there when I see you guys check in on Saturday morning. All right, we have about 3 more minutes left before we are done. If you guys have any really, really quick questions that you want to pop up real quick, you might want to do it now. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait until we can get to them when we see them, and then may not be for the end of the week. So if it's something urgently important, start typing right now or typing and sending to our Facebook pages. And we'll try. Hopefully, you guys, you have this down pat. We've been doing these shows for months, and we try to cover everything. We know that we've had some setbacks in terms of the rescheduling of launches, but that is beyond our control and forever shall be. But we're so excited that we're coming down to the wire, guys. 7 days, 8, 9, 10, 11, 7 days and 3 hours we'll all be standing in the middle of Jetty Park looking up. Okay. I don't see anything else coming up. Charles, do you have any closing words, boss?
No, not really. I'm looking forward to meeting everyone that, I'm going to be shaking 450 hands, I hope. And don't worry, I'll ask Mark nicely, and he'll have his photo made with you.
God,
but
I'm a better agent.
But we, as always, we appreciate. We wouldn't be able to do this cool stuff that we do without you folks. I think by now, having lived it with us, you understand why I have a T-shirt that says "Space is hard," but you also understand the value, and you're getting very close to that time when you can, you know, look up and say, Dad, Mom, sister, brother, best friend, we did it. And there's really there's not any feeling like that. So we're delighted that you're coming. For those of you that can't come, we'll create a great visual experience for you. And remember that once on orbit, it don't stop. We got 25 years probably of orbiting, and you'll be able to track it on our website for those 25 years. This is our 25th year of existence. So another 25 years out, and OTB will be still in space on orbit, and your loved ones will have made however many orbits that is. But it's kind of cool, and it's definitely unique, and we're all looking forward to it.
Alrighty, this is our final broadcast for this flight, for the Heritage flight. We have flights scheduled for next year and so on. We have a few more flights that you've probably seen on our websites. We are looking so forward to meet each and every one of you next week, and we hope that we have honored you in the best way possible. If not, make you smile just a little bit. My name is Mark Lee. I'm looking forward to meeting you guys next week, along with my boss. Ooh, point that way, Mark. Yeah, there you go. It's not the Brady Bunch, close to the Brady Bunch. We're so looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Take care. That is the end of our broadcast. We will see you guys. Be careful. Godspeed, and we'll see you next week as you check in. Okay? Bye-bye. See you, boss.
Bye.